Hey, Miss Sheila, Jessica. Let's see, I'm letting people in. Oh, this is doing something crazy.
Hi, Sherry.
Hey, happy Sunday. Let's
Happy
see.
Sunday.
Yeah. All right, you all. It is 4:01. And so if you don't know me, you may have seen commercials, you may have had me before, private group. However, I'm Sherry Bogart. I'm one of the coaches here on the social work side. So, we have a social work side, we have an NCE side. And I've been with Dr. Pam for over 3 years now. I started out as one of her students, ended up being one of her tutors. And so I teach this course on what's this, the second Sunday? Yeah. I teach this on the second and fourth Sunday. And I believe when I'm off. But I think Dr. Pam may teach you all on the odd Sundays, but don't hold me to that. I don't even know if you all have class on the odd Sundays. However, I will tell you if you don't know my personal story, it may be, ooh, why did she share that moment for you? For some, it's a moment of true testament. But I was MSW, then I became a LAPSW, and then when it was time for me to test for my LC, it took 13 times before I passed. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm a believer in God, so I hope I don't offend anyone. But what I will say is if I had to pass my test on the third try, I personally wouldn't have been ready. So I do know that 13th time got me where I needed, and now I'm like bigger than my circle that I started with. And it's not boosting or bragging, but it's actually telling the truth. So, I always let you all know if you've never been to my group, I do call on participation. I know some people said Dr. Pam tell you all don't write. If writing works for you, do it. But I am gonna say, don't just allow this to be your only time watching this video. Go back and watch it again, go through some things. You will get the material from today's session. It won't come out tonight. It'll come out by the admin staff on tomorrow because they're out. And so, questions, comments, or concerns before we get started? I think I've let everyone in. Let me double check. Okay. Are y'all feeling okay tonight? Got a quiet group tonight. Okay. So we're gonna
Yes, we
get
are. Yes,
okay,
I
everyone
am.
is good. Perfect. I'm like, it's Sunday. Not that Sunday means something to somebody, but so tonight you all remember we have 2 hours. Anybody knows me know that I'm real wonky when it comes to trying to make sure the screen is showing. So if the screen is not showing, please let me know. But also understand that just 1 second. Is the screen showing? It should be.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, it is. So, also know that again that I do anticipate you all participating. So I may randomly call on you, but it helps you in the end. So don't be embarrassed. We all are in this together. So again, you get your recording, you will get this material tomorrow. All right. So tonight we are talking about stages of community organization. What I always say is I will be transparent. I'm just a transparent person. For some reason, ethics in community is something that we don't do well on the exam for whatever reason. And what I want you all to take away from tonight's lesson is community is just like individual. And so keep that in mind. If you can remember what you do in the individual session, or which is also known as micro, or what you do on a mezzo or meso session, it's the same with community practice. So before we get into this, I wasn't going to tell you all, but I am going to say this. I'm going to go through this and I'm going to go through this part quick. And then after this, we have questions and everybody will get a question. So that means pay attention to the information that is coming your way. So we're going to first start with the stages of community organization. And when it comes to the stages of community organization, I want you to understand that it first starts with developing a reputation. The word is rapport, although it says report, it's rapport with the community. So it's just like you're doing with your individual client. You get to know the community. You're going to get to know those key leaders in the community. So remember, I always use this example. If most definitely if you are black, if you ever notice around election time, if you go to an all black church, white leaders come out because they want votes. And so, not to offend anyone, just using it as an example. And so, before a white leader can just step up in an all black Baptist church, he or she needs to know somebody black in that church. And so, that black person or African American individual is going to be that key leader. They're the influence in the church, whether it's the minister, the pastor, the head deacon, whomever. And so, with that politician does is, or in your case, as a social worker, you're going to get acquainted with the key leader, and you're going to make sure you become their ride or die chick. In this case, the ride or die social worker, because if the community loves the key leader, they feel like if you're hanging out with the key leader likes you, so you earn your respect from there. So, in the midst of this, you get to know the community. You may live in a community, but for the sake of the test, it is not your community. And so you get to know the community. You need to know what you're going into before you go into it. They may be telling you that they want you to come out because their crime rate has increased. A lot of young girls in the neighborhood are being kidnapped and things of that nature. So you're going to find out about the community. You're going to see what's going on. They have pretty much told you what the issue is. So you're going to get some information before you go out there. You ever there are like these musicians, they go to different states, and it was a commercial once. I think it was like a sneaker commercial, and the artist got on the stage, and I'm just making up something. He was in Chicago and I'm from Memphis, but he was like, "Hey, Memphis." And it was just like the audience like, "This Chicago," so that's you don't want that to happen when you go into their community and start calling them Magnolia, and their community is called Castalia. And so you're going to come up with, I'm on bullet number 3 now, common ways to do this. You get focus groups, and focus groups is you just go out and identify people that are already in the community that are leaders, and you can talk to them. It could be virtual. Everything is done virtual now. You set up a meeting with them probably 2 or 3 weeks before you go out to the community. You do one-on-ones, you do observations. You might want to just start driving around the community at different times of the day so you can see what's going on. And then all of that turns into this big snowball thing, which means now you have the information you need. So remember, the main goal is to identify the strengths. So when you're going into the community, although they're coming to you for a problem, somebody's asking me a question. Mastermind.
Yeah, my question, Dr. Sherry, is with the focus groups. What is what is the reason that they do focus group? I saw a test question that asked me about focus groups,
Mhm.
and
So
so what's the
I'm
purpose
sorry.
of? Yeah, I just want to know the purpose of the focus groups.
So the focus group is before you go out there, they're letting you know what we're focusing on. Again, you can pull some of those once you meet with the key leader. The key leader is your key. It's like the key for you to open the door. And so that key leader is going to say, "Hey, you need to connect with precinct number 30, Detroit Police Department precinct number 32, because they know what the crime rate is. You need to get in contact with somebody in that district. Every community has a district where they have an assigned senate and different chairs. So you get with those individuals because they're the ones that have the numbers. And the focus group, trust me, they want to, if they're politicians and they're holding seats and chairs to various communities, if it's a high crime rate, they rather for you to do the work than them, or they rather for you to network with them and work with them, because another person, another professional person coming in helping out is going to be a quicker way to try to deplete the problem or modify or change or see some type of decrease in the crime rate, for example. going down. So your focus group comes along. It's like an interdisciplinary team. You got a multitude of individuals coming together from a variety of areas, whether it's the police department, the people that hold the crime rate victim center in the location, giving you information you need.
Thank you.
Did it make sense?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. The dog said yes. Okay. And so the main goal again is to identify strengths, resources, dynamics. So that focus group is giving you a head start. So when you go out to the community, although they're going to be the big key player, but it's giving you an opportunity to go ahead and compile some things. So you know it's a high crime rate. Now you can go ahead and start communicating with the crime rate victim center in that area to get testing kits. So when you all start meeting together as a whole, you can say, hey, well, let's put some testing kits out here. So when someone gets raped, they can have easy access to a testing kit. I even give you another example. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta here in Memphis, Tennessee, and I am on the committee, the mental health committee. And yesterday we had a community health fair, and out there, so we had all these things. We brought all the we did a focus group, but we've been planning this for like 3 months. And so we found out the community that we were going to, it has a high crime rate. It also has a lot of health disparities where people don't have access, they don't have cars to get them to doctor's appointments. I fast forward. So we called everything that we knew we could bring to that community yesterday, that community center. We had the people to come out and do blood pressures. We had people to come out and do blood draw blood for the blood bank. We had people to do HIV tests, and we had people to do cancer screenings, because those that community we target yesterday, they can't get to a physician for those things. And so I even did a cancer screening myself because I haven't had my cancer screening. So I was like, you know what, I don't get my next physical, I'm 2 months out, so let me go ahead and do my cancer screening now. So we had a focus group to figure out what was all needed before 3 months ahead before we got to that community yesterday. So we already had the resources, we had a strategy in place. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So, number two, the second part of the community organization, because we're still on the stages and there's about 6 stages. So, we're going to identify the concern. We already know the crime rate. It's somewhat been identified. You know, when somebody call you, they say, hey, super social worker, we need you to come out because this rate is really increasing in our neighborhood. Too many of our young girls are being raped. They're getting pregnant early. They're ending up with STDs, STIs, etc. So you know a little bit of it. But now in the bigger realm, in step two, we're identifying the issues or the concerns. So you're going to work with the community again, those members in the community, it's their community. You're giving them the resources just like you do in an individual session, because you're not going to be with them forever. So you got to figure out what they want to change. What do they want to see? How many, if they notice in the last year, uh, 100 young ladies were raped. So ultimately they probably want to see that number. They're going to say we don't want any of our girls to get raped in our community anymore, but ideally that's not realistic. Possibly, but we want to set realistic goals. So we're going to say, hey, we want to take this number down by 50% in the next year. So that's what you're trying to figure out. What do you want to change? You got these girls getting raped in this community, so we want to get this number decreased. So the things that we have to do, we need to put up more police cameras in the community. We need to make sure that there's a curfew in the community so our young ladies aren't out. If we have young ladies that have to ride the city bus to and from work and they may work third shift, we need to have some older gentlemen in the community to be out to wait for them to get off the bus at nighttime, things of that nature. So that's how you gauge their interest on part B. You motivate them. When you start giving them information like that, they're like, oh yeah, we didn't think about that. Yeah, we can do that. So also you explore past attempts, part C, at change. You're going to make sure you ask them because you're keeping them engaged. So what all have you all tried? What have you tried before? And they're going to let you know. And even while you're talking, they're gonna be like, you know what, Miss Bogart, or super social worker, Sheila, whoever, Jessica, we have had men to be out at the bus stop at 12 o'clock when these young ladies got off a third shift or whatever. And now there's people coming through shooting at them. So now you gotta be prepared to work with them as a team to brainstorm on, okay, let's look at other ways we can do this. Number three, we're going to set the goals. Stage three, setting the goals and objectives. So everybody know what a goal and an objective is. We just talked about the goal anyway. The goal is we want to decrease the numbers of the young ladies being raped. And so we got to come up with an objective. How are we going to meet this goal? We are doing in our master's program when we're in grad school. Everything that syllabus that they give you, they're like, tonight, the goal is for you to learn about Eric Erickson. And the objectives talk about the steps that is going to be put into place for you to learn about Eric Erickson work. So in this case, we're using this example. The goal is to decrease the numbers. The objective is based on identified issues in the community. This is where the groundwork is put into place, where we're going to say, well, the first thing is we're going to put a curfew in place. You know, maybe it is dangerous for one guy to stand outside and wait for the young lady to get off the bus, but the objective is for us to put two guys out at nighttime to wait on the young lady. The objective may be for one of those two guys to become gun trained so that he can get a license to carry. So if somebody comes through and shoot at them, they have the right to shoot back as long as it's in self-defense. So that's what that looks like. Remember, a goal is an overarching change the community organizing project would accomplish. The objective, in essence, is the specific steps needed to be put in place to accomplish that. And so then you go to part D, where the social worker identify resources, people from the community, because this is their problem and they need to work together to, that's why we have community, what is it called? Community and I'm a part of it in my community. I can't think of community watch. And so you get the people in the community to do the work. You don't always, sometimes communities don't want outside people coming in doing the work for them. And then you have E, this is the stage that brings it to life. Now we've set the goals, the objectives, so it's time for us to start working. This is the same method again that you use in individual sessions. So we have step four, you're going to identify, mobilize the individuals and create a task team. Now we talked about focus team earlier. Focus team is pretty much entities outside of the community, the big wigs, the politicians, the police department, the crime rate center in your local area. But when it comes to the task team, now you're going to get people from the community, because they're going to get tasks. If you think about the word task, when somebody says, I want you to do this task, when your boss comes to you at your place of employment, it was like, I want Sherry to do this task, I want Crystal to do this task. And so that means that if multiple people are doing multiple things, one person isn't working on one thing, it makes things move smoother and faster. So just like I was telling you, my sorority, we had tasks to do. You had one person that had to call all of the medical people, all of the medical schools in Memphis to figure out which school could come out and do blood pressure, which school could come out and do the HIV things. We had another person that was tasked with calling people to see if they will be willing to donate food for the program yesterday. So that's what those tasks looks like. You giving tasks to different individuals so that things again can keep moving. And so now we're going to go to, I'm going to go to 5, develop and finalize an action plan. Action plan. I shouldn't even have to say anything else. It's time for us to put everything we've been talking about into action. So this is when the social worker creates a detailed plan. It may have to be written out. It needs to be put on paper so everybody can see it. Although we're trying to be tree friendly, or you need to use a QR code. Now that's where everybody going to now. So you put something on paper, you generate it into your system, you get a QR code and you forward that out to everyone so they have access to it. This is going to have the steps, resources needed to accomplish this, everything that everybody has agreed on, which was identified in the objectives. And then during this stage, you're going to enforce particular standards. There has to be some type of policy and procedure. Otherwise, people are going to do what they want to do, and that's going to mess up everything from the beginning to now. Questions, comments, or concerns before we go to last step 6? Everything making sense? I see Crystal over there holding her forehead. You still with me, Crystal? Okay, I see y'all. So I'm gonna sidebar a little bit. I work out from home and I have a fitness coach. And I'm like, how the heck does she be seeing that I'm not doing push-ups? Now I know. So our brains, I'm watching the screen and watching y'all too. So I get it now. So because the other day she was like, you're not doing your push-ups. I was like, how you know what I'm doing? You looking at 10 other people. But okay, I'm back. And so when it comes to 6, that's your executive and your evaluation. Just like what we do with the individuals. If you all have seen videos of me, if you met with Dr. Pam or seen videos, we talk about assessing, planning, intervention, evaluation, and termination. That's the same thing with this. You got to every now and then go back and evaluate. Did everybody do what they're supposed to have done? And is it working? So now when you implement that, you want to see um, are the guys standing out at the bus stop at 12 midnight like they supposed to? So you evaluating it, and then they're gonna come back and report, well, only one guy stood out. So why did 2 not stand out? Because that's what we talked about in our objectives. So that's what you're looking at when you execute, you evaluate, and you put it into action. You're going to keep coming back as the social worker, and you're going to keep asking the community, what have they done? What have they not done that they said they were going to do? Why have they not done this? What can we put into place to make you all start doing this? Why have nobody gotten gun trained and got a certification to carry a gun? So you're looking at all those things. You're going to make any changes that you need to make in order to make this work. And at this point, I'm going to decide whether the issues was addressed, if they were not addressed, if it needs to be revisited, and if the community wants to continue addressing the items. So now we get ready to go to questions. So do you all have any questions, comments, or concerns before we go to questions? Because everyone will get a question. And remember, you will get a copy of this as well. I am going to stop sharing it. So far, I see Sheila, Mastermind, Jessica, Crystal, and Amber. If I missed anyone, you can come off of mute and let me know. I'm getting ready to pull up the questions. Okay. So, Sheila, your question number 1. Mastermind, question number 2. Y'all remember your order. Jessica, number 3. Crystal, number 4. And Amber, number 5. I suggest you read the question. You can read it the first time to yourself, read it out loud the second time, eliminate 2 answers, keep 2 answers if there's 4 choices. I will tell you, I'm only giving you 2 minutes to do that process, okay? Let me pull up the questions. All right, the questions are about to pop up. I already gave you the order that you are to do your question. And so let me blow the screen up. And it's your show, Sheila.
Okay, you want me to read it out loud? Okay. A community worker meets with families who are upset about the care they are receiving at their local hospital. The families want improved services and courteous treatment. They meet for many weeks and are now considering strategies for presenting their demands to the hospital director. The family should first. Okay, do you want me just to go by reading them or send the social worker with the list of demands to speak with the director? B, send the leaders of the group to meet with the director and present their demands. C, arrange a meeting since the director is unreceptive and may reject the demands. I can't really see D.
Okay. Let's see.
Con,
Can you see it now?
I can't see it at all now.
Oh, that's okay. I am so
Wait a
sorry.
minute.
But it says
Okay,
contact the
contact
media.
the
Okay.
media and have them do a story on the hospital staff behavior. So I need to read over that in
Hmm.
my head.
Okay.
Okay.
So Sheila, come on. Break the question down.
Okay.
Pull the highlights out of the question.
Okay. I would say, let me see, contact the media and have them do. Okay, I start with taking D out, like
Okay.
contact the media and have them do a story on the hospital staff's behavior. Can I start there?
This your question.
Okay. Yes, I want to start there. We're taking that one out. Um, let me see. Arrangements. Um,
Eliminate another one.
okay. Send a social worker. Well,
Just take one out.
let's take out C,
Okay.
arranging meetings since the director is unreceptive and may reject the demands.
Okay. So you left with A and B. Which one is the correct answer?
Um, I would say a family community meets with how is where I said. Um,
So Sheila, you
well,
have a
I'm going to say okay. I'm gonna say let's delete four. I'm gonna say A is the answer because I think they should let the social worker know the list of how they feel
okay.
about what's going on, and she could send the information over to the leader. So it may be wrong.
Okay. We're not going to focus on that part. So we have a community worker who is the social worker, and she's meeting with, or he or she is meeting with families, and the families, it's more than one family. So there's the community. The families are upset. They're upset about care that they're receiving at a local hospital. So their hospital is in their community. And so the families, they telling her, we want improved services and we want courteous treatment. And so they meet the families and the social worker, they meet for many weeks, and now they're at a point where they're considering strategies for presenting their demands to the hospital director. So remember, the social worker is not the community. She just comes in and kind of give guidance. So the family should first, and that's the what's the first thing that they're going to do. And you said A, you said they're going to send the social worker with a list of demands to speak with the director. But your answer is B. You're going to send the leaders of the group to meet with the director and present their demands. Now, Sheila, I want you to tell me why it's B based off of what I shared with you all earlier. In 1 minute.
Well, because I guess it's all of them together and it's strategies, and they would want to, meet with the leaders and the directors to present how they feel about everything, because the social worker cannot, you know she can't handle that what they want, so they need to go to the leaders.
So the part of it is yes. So the social worker, remember, she's coming out to help the community because they don't know what to do. They're at a wit's end. So when she's not going to do the work for them. Remember, we as social workers, we don't even do the work for our clients in the individual session. We guide them, we facilitate them. So they've already come in there considering strategies for presenting the demands. So the first thing the families should do is send the leaders of the group, because remember earlier I talked about there's a key person. So they're going to send the leader of the group to meet with the director at the hospital and present their demands. So no, they're not going to send the social worker out to speak with the director at the hospital because that's not her job, his or her job. Anybody have questions, comments, or concerns behind it?
So,
I do.
Mhm.
Is it like, I think like in terms of like working with community, you always kick it back to the community.
You give
So
it back to
this
the
would be
community.
the only response that allows you to kind of like kick it back to the community. Because I was stuck between A and B, but I would have picked B only because it was the only one of the responses that allowed you to kick it back to the community.
And that's correct because it's the community that does the job. The social worker just comes in and assists with giving the information. Someone else wanted to say something. I'll take one more question. Mastermind.
so basically, what I'm understanding is that the social worker and community, the social worker empowers the community to do the work themselves. Just like if we was an individual, the social worker wouldn't do the work. Therapist wouldn't do the work for the client. We empower the client to do the work.
Absolutely. So you give it, you've assisted them with the strategy. So as Jessica said, now it's time for the leader of the community to keep the leader is that key holder I talked about to go to the hospital. Of these choices, that's the first thing that needs to be done. Okay. Jess, who's next?
Me, mastermind.
Okay. All right.
A group of social workers want to build a multicultural advocacy group. Their first goal is to organize. Some of the it's cut off at
It's
the.
cut off. I'm sorry. So
Okay. I
let's just
think that's
remove the
it. Their
word.
first goal is to organize a diverse, it look like diverse group of
Mhm.
individuals within the local community. The first step in building their group is to. So you have a group of social workers, and they want to build an advocacy group, a multicultural advocacy group, and they want the question is asking, what is the first step in building this group? So A, distribute pamphlets regarding the goals for the multicultural advocacy group. Encourage a board focus. Encourage a board focus on several unrelated issues that attract diverse groups. Identify a common interest so that the issues are relevant to many people. Determine the strategy for their advocacy group. Okay. The first thing, so distribute pamphlets will be like an education, right? Right. So
No
that's
question.
okay. Okay. So A can go.
Right.
Encourage a broad focus on several unrelated issues that attract diverse groups, or identify a common interest so that the issues are relevant to many people. Determine the strategy for the advocacy group. Identify. Okay. I would get rid of encourage a broad focus on several unrelated issues. I would get rid of B.
Okay.
So I'm between identify common interests so that the issues are relevant to many people, or determine the strategy for their advocacy group. And it says first. I would say C, identify a common interest so that the issues are relevant to many people.
Oh, you got it. Explain why you said C.
Well, because first off, it said first, so when I see first, that's to me that's a assess and identify. When you identify, you gather more information. You're assessing.
Okay. So that's good. We have a group. So remember, it's a group of social workers, and these social workers wants to be a multicultural advocacy group. So they want to go out there and say, we want to focus on multiple cultures, whether it's Asian, Hispanic, African American, whatever. And so in this, the social workers, and remember, because it's a group of social workers, are they interdisciplinary or intradisciplinary?
Intra.
There you go. Does everybody understand the difference between interdisciplinary and intradisciplinary? Yeah, I don't say nothing. I'm assuming you know it.
Can you
So,
can you
I'm
go
sorry.
over it again?
uh-huh. So interdisciplinary is when you have multiple components coming together, doctors, nurses, social workers, a combination. So in this case, it's just a group of social workers. So everyone is the same. So it's intradisciplinary team, because it's all of us tonight are the same. Now, we added some LPCs and some doctors and nurses on this call, then it'll be an interdisciplinary call. So, with that being said, so these social workers came together to come up with a multicultural advocacy group. Their first goal was to organize a diverse group of individuals within that local community. So they said, okay, let's go out here, let's figure out how we're going to get a diverse group. That was the first goal. And then they came and said the first step. So don't get the word first goal confused with first step. Because this is what I want you to understand. When you're reading questions, you have to be able to process them. And so the first step in building their group is, as Mastermind mentioned, is to encourage, I'm sorry, excuse me, is to identify a common interest, excuse me, so that the issues are relevant to many people. So now that you are talking about a group of social workers, so they all got to figure out what are we going to do first in this thing. And they said it. We're going to organize this diverse group of individuals. So when it comes to the first step in building their group is to identify a common interest so that the issues are relevant to many people. So although they're working with a diverse group, they got to come up with something common to bring everybody together. Remember, when you're doing group work, it's kind of off topic, but it should help you. You have some groups where everybody is there because they all are alcohol, they all drink alcohol every day. Everyone is there because they're addicted to sex. But then sometimes and those are closed groups. Then sometimes you have open groups where anybody can just show up. It could be the majority of sex addicts, but it may be somebody who just want to know, okay, well, this is a sex addict group. I want to know about it. So they coming in, they don't have sex addict issues or tendencies, but they just want to know. And so in this, you want to have common interests so that the issues are relevant to all of the cultures that this social worker group wants to assist. Did it make sense? Because I need you all to think like that when you're reading questions. Okay. Who is number 3?
I am.
All right, Jessica.
Right.
Can you see it?
Um, maybe. Okay. Thank you. A community worker at a neighborhood center is approached by a small group that wants to work on changing community educational priorities. The social worker first major task would involve A, determining a strategy of action, B, electing a leader so the group may have a clear leadership and representation, C, identifying if there are broader interests on the issue among other community members and leaders, D, formalizing the structure of the group. Okay. So you are a community social worker in a neighborhood and you are approached by a small group of people that want to work on changing educational priorities. And what is the social worker supposed to do first? Okay. Um, I don't know, it's tough. Would you, I guess, I would maybe eliminate D, formalize the structure of a group. And I don't know if I feel like it would be my responsibility as a social worker to elect a leader of a group.
So you eliminating B as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So that leaves me with A and C. Identifying if there is a broader interest on the issue among other community members and leaders, maybe C.
Okay. See your final answer? Don't
I don't
change
know.
because I said that. You said maybe C, so that's why I'm asking for confirmation.
I have no choice at this point. I think I'm gonna go with C.
You want to keep C? So let's see. Uh-oh. You got it right. So go ahead and insert that back into the question, the vignette.
Okay. So I'm looking at an answer that allows for the community to have more control over the situation. So therefore, determining is the language that puts it solely in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Electing means that I am choosing something for the group. C allows for the community to kind of identify if there is more interest, gauging more interest, which is, I think, one of the parts of identifying the issues of concern and step
Mm-hmm.
two.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyone have questions, comments, or concerns? Somebody got something different, and it's okay to say if you got something different. Okay. So again, this was a community worker. So she was already working at a neighborhood. Here she was already working at a neighborhood center. And in this center, a small group came up to the social worker and said they want to work on changing community educational priorities. And so at this point, the social worker's first major task would have been to go ahead and say, hey, let's go into C, identifying if there's broader interest on the issues among other community members and leaders. So when you start looking at your questions, and Jessica broke it down perfect. You don't do the work for them. So if you determine a strategy of action, you're doing the work for them. Electing a leader so that the group may have you're doing the work for them. So formalizing the structure of the group, you're doing the work for them. So just think about it. Again, you work with them, you don't work for them. You don't do the work for them. So who is number 4?
I am
All
Crystal.
right. You
Okay.
ready, Crystal?
hmm A social worker notes that there are increasing numbers of homeless individuals with mental illness in the downtown area. Many business owners reject them, often making the problems worse. What is the best approach to this problem? So you have this social worker who notes that there is an increasing numbers of homelessness with individuals with mental health illness in the downtown area. Many business owners are uh, rejecting them and often making this problem worse. What is the best approach to this problem? Best approach. A, invite businesses and social service agencies to discuss the possible solution. B, provide information on the psychiatric disorder to business owners. C, distribute information to businesses on how to refer for mental health services. And D, request the church provide space to shelter homeless person. So I will eliminate D.
Okay.
Um, I will also eliminate B too.
Okay.
B and D I will eliminate. And I will also eliminate C.
Okay.
My choice will be A.
A.
Mhm.
Why?
Um, so go back to the question and say many business owners reject it. So it's a community question. So I invite the businesses, which is the business, and then since I'm the social well, I don't want to say that part, but the social service agencies, because I guess that's all people part of the community, to address the problem, which is the individuals with mental health illness, since they the ones have the concern, and how can they go about resolving this issue together as a community.
You got it right, Crystal. You said A, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anyone did not get A correct or did not get A? Okay. So, Crystal, tell your group again, why are you inviting businesses and the social service agencies to discuss possible solutions?
The business and the social service agencies, they're the one reporting the issues that they're having with individuals with mental health illness. And but because there are the community members, so like
Mhm.
what's that, the key stakeholders or the people or individuals. So it's not the social, even though she notes it, but they brought it to her attention that there's an issue. So the social worker doesn't do the problem for them, the community members do it.
There you go.
She just helped facilitate
There you
that
go.
aspect.
Y'all getting it. Who is number 5?
I am.
Okay, you ready, Amber?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
A social worker organizes a tenant association in a, what did I say?
Dilapidated.
Dilapidated building. The Alves family have problems, including their 12-year-old son being arrested for minor offenses. During a meeting, the request to evict the Alves family because their son has threatened others. The family does not participate in this association. The social worker should. Let me read it. Remind the tenants of their central concerns and the need for the association to stress unity in the building. Inform the Alves that they should find a new place to live where they will have fewer problems. Tell the tenants that they have no right to decide who can live in their building. And ask the delegation to meet with the Alves family to discuss the group's concerns. Um, I'm going to eliminate B. And I'm going to eliminate C.
Okay.
And I'm going to eliminate. I'm going to eliminate A.
So you're going with D. Is that correct?
Oh, I think so. This is an educated guess.
Insert your answer back into the question.
Okay. Actually, delegation means that much to discuss the group's concerns. So the social worker organized a tenant association. His family is having problems with their 12-year-old son. He's been arrested for some minor offenses. And in the meeting, they are requesting to evict the family because their son has been threatening others. But the family does not participate. And it's actually what the social worker should do. So they should ask them to participate because they don't participate.
Okay.
So they can discuss their concerns with the family.
Okay. And before I show you how to answer, does everyone know what the word dilapidated mean? Because if you don't know certain words, it would throw the whole test question off.
Would that mean the building is like in poor construction?
Yes. So a lot of times a dilapidated building is going to be associated with individuals that live there as problematic or that stay in trouble. So just wanted to share that. And so Amber, you got it right. Why do you ask Because you was like, I guess. You was second guessing yourself.
I don't know. I always do that. I just
So
have it.
why did you select the answer again?
Um, the only reason I selected is because it said they don't participate.
Hmm.
So I guess they need to, come meet with them.
Because that's who the concern is with. At this point, it's something going on within their family. So they really they're not a part of the association. So remember, neighborhood associations where the neighborhood members come together and have meetings and things of that nature. So, we are going to go back into some work. I am going to stop there. Questions, comments, or concerns while I pull up the other slides. Did they help you all process everything? Well, not everything, but going
Yes.
over it did.
But I was the only one got it one
Sheila,
wrong. I
don't you?
feel bad.
I had a feeling you was going to say that. No, this is not a real test. That's the concept of it. So now guess what you're going to do? When you start looking at questions, you're going to start looking at them different. And everybody on here, I would say with the exception of Mastermind, was guessing because that's what I heard. I guess, I think. So that's the part you're not paying attention to. Don't look at, oh, they got the answer right. We all get answers wrong. We just want to make sure we're getting the content in the material. So I need you to erase that negative thought out your head right now, Sheila. I need to see you erase it. You gotta erase it.
Okay.
I don't see you erasing this shit. You got there you go. Let's see.
To get it wrong
Um,
here, Sheila, and not the test. To get it wrong here, you understand why. Do not feel bad for that. Please
mhm.
don't.
Mastermind, you getting them all right.
Shit, listen, sis. I've been here for a year and over a year. I need to be.
I like that comment, Mastermind. I like that. Let's get to this next one. Okay. Okay. So this part, I am going to share with you all some community terms, and it should be popping up on your screen. Remember, you will get this, but if you want to write, you can. Um, Actually, I think we had someone new to join the call. And I'm sorry I ran out of questions if everyone didn't get a question. So on my screen, I have Crystal, Jessica, Mastermind, Amber, Sheila. Did I miss someone? If I did, please unmute yourself and let me know. I need you to stop. Okay. So the way I called your name, I want you to read the bold letter and just read the definition right after that. You don't have to read anything else after that. So, Crystal.
Okay. Advocacy, the exclusive and mutual representation of a client or cause in a formal forum of attempting a systematic, a lot of tongue twisting, systematically influence decision making in an adjust or responsive system.
Mm-hmm. So advocacy. It's the same thing as advocate. That word we use every day at work or in our whatever. And so remember, on the big words we should be using, it's exclusive. It's that representation of a client or the cause in a form. So what we're trying to do is influence those decision makers to do something on behalf of our client. We're trying to get someone to pay the rent a second time for our client, although they paid it for them a month ago. And so the bull is just explaining that when we advocate, we are the social worker. We're attempting to bridge that gap of what the client needs in order for what is being offered. Like the example I just gave. There's a lot of here in Memphis, there's an agency, not a lot, but there's an agency that will pay your rent one time a year. But of course, you have to meet qualifications. So as the advocate, the social worker, I know my client does not meet all three qualifications, but I'm going to go to that agency and I'm going to say whatever I need to say to try to get their rent paid. Also under advocacy, we are attempting to address a system that does not work for our clients. So remember, they're like, what we get in Memphis is, well, it's only black people that come and ask for rent, and they need to learn how to pay their rent on their own. And we just paid their rent last month. So again, it's the social worker job to attempt to get this bill paid for the client again, but also we're going to educate our client. Hey, look, you know the rules is the rules now. I got them to pay it twice. So I need you to figure out a way. That's why I'm going to work with you to come up with a way how you're going to pay your rent going forward. So when you're doing advocacy, it is the social worker is gathering support, awareness, and influence to help mobilize change. This can be done to help the vulnerable population, the underrepresented population. The other word is the marginalized population. And so examples can be a protest, rallies, educational seminars, lobbying, working with clients to get the information to better represent them. Questions, comments, concerns about advocacy? Okay. Jessica?
Community organizing, the act of engaging with a particular group, community, or organization to empower change.
All right. To empower change. That's what community organizing is. That's what we talked about when we first got on here. That's what those questions was about. So when it comes to community organizing, we're engaging with the group, with the community. Can be macro or it can be meso. A lot of times this is macro and meso. Remember, meso is groups. It's a small group. It's a local community. On a macro level, it's like politicians, those big things that goes on, like when there's a riot going on in the city, things of that nature. So with the community organizing, we are working together with that community to bring out or to promote a mutual agreement for something that they need. So I talked about earlier when we first started, I use the example of young girls being raped in the community. So the community organization with the social worker is the social worker and the community working together to figure out how we can make a change with the rate. How can we decrease the numbers? So it has to be a mutual agreement, which means the social worker is going to give out the information, the resources, so that the community can go and get what they need. They can be able to go talk to the crime rape victim center on their own without without a social worker. So in this on bullet two, just 1 second, because y'all, I'm about to put my grandson, just 1 second. Every mastermind, he do it every.
You still on mute? You still on mute? Get him, Dr. Sherry.
So for the record, no kid was hurt. You do not have to call Department of Children Family Services. And so with that being said, with community organizing, the social worker helps to identify, coordinate, and promote the change of effort. However, the social worker do not do it for their own interests. So you're not going out there and just fall so in love with the community that you just want to take over like Shiro or somebody. Remember, you work with them, you show them, and you let them do it. Who is bonding? Oh, wait a minute. Were there any questions, comments, or concerns about community organizing?
No.
Okay. So who's supposed to be bonding?
Bonding. I think I'm bonding.
Okay.
Dense social networks among social groups of people who are linked through direct ties.
So do you understand that one, Mastermind?
Linked through direct ties. I'm sorry.
Now your baby's coming.
So the link through direct ties, what I think I understand it to be like, linked through like you and Dr. Pam are linked through direct ties because y'all work together.
There you go, working together. So those bonding, just like you said, when somebody bond, you be like, man, we bonded, we together, we link. So when it talks about this, as this bullet points out, They have had previous interactions and are related in some way or fashion. It could be like a church, a small organization, an interest group, which an interest group is similar to a focus group. And so this is an effort to promote change. So you come together and you work and you're promoting change. I will tell you, it's rare that you see bonding on the exam, but bonding is something that we do in the real world. Now, this next one you will see on the exam. So, who is bridging? I forgot y'all order, so I don't know.
I forgot. I'm sorry, and I walked away. This is Sheila. I had to
Okay.
go to the restroom.
Mastermind, do you know who was after you?
No. Wait, yeah. Um, well, Sheila was before me. It was Sheila,
Crystal.
then me, then Jessica, and then Crystal, I think.
Okay. Crystal, it's you.
All right, bridge loosely connected networks of large numbers of people linked through indirect ties.
Does that make sense to you, Crystal?
Loosing connect, loosing connected networks of large numbers of people linked through indirect ties. Bridging. I know how you bridge people together, but loosely connected. So, loosely connected networks of large. The loosely's throw me off, but connecting networks of large numbers of group linked together,
Okay.
direct.
So I
Yeah.
can tell where the loosely is probably bothering you. So loosely
Yes.
means I'm on this, I'm a resource on this end, and then there's another resource on the other end, and we're not connected.
Mhm.
But to bridge to get our client to close that gap for our client to get what's needed, I'm going to go over here and talk to this bougie attorney office that I don't want to talk to because we're not connected at all. They're probably something totally believe and see things totally different. They don't believe in helping the marginalized population. Well, I'm a social worker that likes helping the marginalized population. So I'm going to go over here and negotiate with this bougie attorney office to help my client get what they need. So that's where they're loosely connected. Does that make sense, Crystal? Okay. And so what we're going to do is once we connect, now we can start getting we as the social workers can start getting our clients what they need. Okay. So that was those questions there, and I will get that to you all. Questions, comments, and concerns before I pull up the next slide. Just one second. Okay. So is this making sense or is it not making sense? I want to know more so what's not making sense. Y'all, now my daughter in here taking food out of my refrigerator. I think she does this on the Sundays I work because she know I can't say anything to her. Uh, but is there anything that's not making sense? So everything is making sense? More questions are coming up since everything's making sense. So remember, when it comes to community, the things to first understand about community work, are you all able to see the screen? I'm sorry. Okay. I want you to keep in your head anytime you come across community practice questions when you're not here. So we're going to treat me like I'm coming to you all out of community. I'm coming in, I'm giving you resources. So when I'm gone, you can do this on your own. But something you need to remember is you do this daily. You're already doing it on a micro level. You're doing it on a meso level. And so the roles are the same as serving an individual client. Just think about it. Now you're just serving more people. You are still using that social worker helping process. Crystal, do you know what the social worker help? No, Amber, do you know what the social worker helping process is?
I think I don't know. Is that assess?
Amber, you said you think, and then you
I
said you don't know. Which one
think
is it?
I
You
don't
think or you
know.
don't know?
That's right. The helping process, like assessing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
what's the other stuff?
Assess, educate.
The next after
Oh,
the A is a P. So we're
oh,
gonna get Sheila to help you. Sheila, what's the P in the
uh,
social worker helping process?
Planning.
Okay, Jessica, what's the I in the social worker helping process?
Intervention.
See, Amber, I'm getting you some help. Mastermind, what's the E in the social worker helping process?
Evaluation.
Crystal, what's the T in social worker helping process?
Termination.
All right. So y'all know this. Y'all know it. So Amber, you can't say I think I know it and I don't know it. It's either or. Believe in yourself, girl. So when it comes to this, it starts with info share. And so I'm going to use a real life situation. So if everyone watched the news, you should remember or should know a little bit about the George Floyd incident. George Floyd was an African American individual. He was strangled by a white officer. I can't remember what state it was, but it was all over the news. And so after something such as that happens in a community, someone will get in trouble. And in this case, it was a police officer. But you had people in the community that was upset too. So it was a potential for them to get in trouble because when people get upset in a community, they tend to do things. They riot and all the other stuff that cause problems. So with this, there is social planning. Social planning is the stuff that's behind the scenes. So anytime there's a riot, anytime there's a peace rally, anytime there's anything that's going on where you see it all over the news and people walking around with signs and there's a whole bunch of people coming together. I attended the Million Woman March many, like almost 30 years ago. And that didn't just happen overnight. So it was something planned behind the scenes. So this is where you have a community leader, and that community leader can be a social worker who negotiates. And so they go out they find the key person in the community wherever George Floyd lived. They probably started calling up the neighborhood watch programs and finding out who was the person, the president of the neighborhood watch meetings. And then they started negotiating. They saying, give us this information, give us this information. Can this get worse? How can we make this better? And then they started delegating. They started putting task forces together because this was a marginalized population. It happened in a black neighborhood. And so the next bullet just talks about incidents proceeding like the causes other communities that would causes other communities to act quickly. So again, that everybody in the community said George wasn't wrong, or even if he was wrong, the officer did not have a right to choke him like that, just like constantly choking him, not weighing up off of him at all. And remember, it happened so much, I can't remember, but it happened to another African American male, I think in New York, outside of so Jessica remembers. And I want to say he had asthma, he was a large male. So this again is what makes people upset. They're like, okay, it's happening again. So
Eric
uh
Gardner was his name.
that's it. Thank you, Jessica. Yep, sure was.
I
So
couldn't get into my office for weeks.
oh wow, so you was right there by it.
Hmm.
Oh, at a corner store, just like George Floyd, it happened at a corner store.
And I worked at the district attorney's office in that building.
Oh
So
wow.
we had, and I was running a supervision program, and we couldn't even have program because we
It
were
was
afraid the kids were
dangerous.
going to get,
Yeah.
yeah, it was big. It was a big deal.
So people get together and shut it down. So when things like that happen, that's when the local people become upset. They don't agree with what happens, and now it's a social issue. And it has to, when there's an issue, that means it's a problem and it needs to be fixed on a local level. And they don't know how to do it, so they call in a social worker. So the most consistent factor associated with beneficial outcomes of the helping relationship is a positive relationship between the social worker and the client. In this case, the social worker and the community. Did that make sense? Because I needed to make sense before I go to the next item. Kristen took her finger off her head, so I think we getting somewhere now. Sheila's still over here, Tom, thinking about she got the question wrong and she gonna get another question. Sheila, I told you to erase that. I see it all over your face. You're not even focused anymore. Sheila, let it go. I'm so for real. I see it all over your face.
It's gone. It's
Okay, it's
gone.
down. Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
back off
I
then,
mean,
Sheila.
I am trying. I was close, so I
Okay.
give myself a little
There
credit.
you go. Thank you. So, when it comes to the principles, the teaching for building and maintaining a helping relationship in essence is just keeping that rapport. Because if you do the wrong thing or you say the wrong thing, you out here helping this community, and then they start seeing you hee hee and ha ha with that police officer that choked George Floyd, because you know his cameras everywhere. You just damaged your rapport. You're like, I'm over there trying to get information. They like, no, no, no. You playing with the enemy. So you have to be careful. So maintaining and helping relationship is just making sure you're staying on the community side because you're there to help them. So again, we're going to talk about 4 stages in community organization. Community organization process is the COP. You have orientation. Everybody should know what the word orientation is. So orientation is when I first came on this call. That was like, hey y'all, I'm Sherry Bogart. I've been with Dr. Pam for 3 years. I was her student. That was orientation. I did an introduction of who I am. And so remember, when you go out and orientate yourself to the community, even if you live in that community, they don't see you at that moment as a resident. They see you as what, Amber?
The social
The
worker?
social worker. They see you with and in their head, they like Amber with her bougie self. She come in here with her red bottoms and her Louis Vuitton bag, and she want to play like she one of us. So you gotta earn their respect at that moment because they don't see you as the person living in their neighborhood. I go to my neighborhood watch programs and they're like, oh, she bougie because she drive this type of car. And they know I really don't live in the neighborhood anymore, but my mama still stay there. So it's my neighborhood. And when I get up and speak, and the people that have not left that neighborhood, they don't see me as the same. I'm like, y'all, I'm not here to to be a social worker. I'm here because I'm a part of the neighborhood right now. So remember, even if you are in the neighborhood, but most definitely if you're not, you don't live in that neighborhood. So you are only there to assist. Assist. Number two, there will be conflict. So you all should know the phrases. They're called storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. In the storming phase, nobody gets along. Even the people in the community, they're like, man, we got to sit in this meeting. We got to start talking. People may not agree on everything, but as time continues to progress, they will start kind of forming together. So that's what that forming is. So then you have a merge. And this is when the group said, okay, we ready to we tired of coming here. We want to see a change in our community. We don't want her to Amber keep coming in here with these red bottoms on. So Amber, you're gonna start going to the meeting with your tennis shoes on. You can't go in there looking different. And so the group is emerged and they're really starting to accept us as the social workers and they're ready to work. And now we're gonna do the reinforcement number 4. This is we decided on what we're gonna do, and now we're gonna start meeting. We've decided on what we're gonna do, and we have all agreed that we're gonna protest on Sunday at 3 o'clock. We're gonna start in front of Jessica building where they choked Eric. So that's what was happening behind. That's why, Jessica, when you came to work, everybody was out there because they was behind the scenes planning as soon as Eric was strangled in front of that store.
I joined them.
And so I'm glad you said that.
I joined them.
So to everyone on this call, theoretically, there is a test question that asks, like, when it's something like that that happens in our community, can we join? It is a if you are on the clock at work, you cannot join because your job may not be in agreement with that. But if you are off the clock, you can join. Just make sure you don't have anything on that represents your company, not even your name tag. Did that make sense? Because there are some companies that say we are social service workers, but they don't want you associated with certain things because it could bring a bad image back to the agency.
Yeah, you could actually get written up because
Yeah.
they don't want you to have the political view
Mhm.
or have to be like, oh, that was the girl that worked for the district attorney's
Yep.
office. But when ICE was going into the courthouses and arresting some of the folks that were not documented,
Mhm.
all the social workers took a lunch break and they all wore their alma mater shirts and were
Mhm.
right in front of the federal courthouse.
Wow. Now, see, everybody came together as a whole, so it's kind of hard to get rid of the whole team versus one person, but they can still reprimand. So just make sure you know your company policies before you do that. So next, in the steps in the problem solving model, which is the social worker helping process. Again, I'm saying this in two different ways. Orientation, introduce yourself. Hello, my name is Sherry. Clarify why you're there. I'm here because you all are having this problem. It came to my attention from your key person, Monique Dotson. And everybody going, oh, Monique brought you out here. And so when they clapping for Monique, that means they clapping for you as well. Then, boom, the social work helping process. Amber smiling like it. She like, yeah, I got it now. So that's where I'm not gonna go through it. That's just telling you the steps of the social worker helping process. I'm gonna keep it moving. But when it comes to the helping relationship, I talked about it again. This is where you try to have an impact or you influence the community or your client. You're going to increase their autonomy. Mastermind.
I'm sorry, you can go ahead. I'll ask when you finish.
Okay. No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about up in earlier in the lecture it says COP and it had like 2733, like a Bible scripture. And so
Oh,
what does that mean? Like the 2733 to 30?
that's for me.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Okay.
it's my little note. I'm glad you pointed that out because some Sheila was thinking the same thing. She laughed when you asked about it, and you would see that throughout. It's a timer for me.
Okay.
Hmm. But if you want to use it as a Bible, hey, go ahead and pull up some. It might give you a word you need. I don't know. I didn't even think of it that way. So with the helping process, this is the ability for you to act or to help them act on their own. You let them know, hey, you're doing good. You're going to compliment them. You're going to give advice. You're going to let them know, hey, what's going on. Remember also when it comes to the helping process, nonverbal behavior. Pay attention to that. You're gonna have somebody in the audience with their arms crossed. They like, oh, why this bougie lady out here? She talking about cause she black, she part of the community. She ain't nothing. She one of them. So you gotta pay attention to their body language, people facial expressions, eye movements. So just like I was telling you all tonight, I'm reading my screen, but still looking at you all. That's the same you have to do when you are working with the community. And it's called confrontation, but when you're working with a community, you want to make sure your confrontation is on point. You want to say, so, hey, mister in the front row, it looks like you have a question. His arms folded up. And instead of saying, hey, sir, why you got your arms folded? Then you're going to lose him. And you're going to lose probably some other people in the audience. So just say, hey, do you have a question? And he's going to say, no, ma'am. I was just listening to you. And he may even know why you did. He's just going to be like, that's why I just sit with my arms crossed. Girl, I was really paying attention to what you were saying. So remember paying attention to those nonverbal cues. Also, you have to understand when it comes to the social worker role, you must be aware of your own feelings. That's called what? It's it's a letter C and a letter T.
Transference.
Countertransference. Yep. So you have to pay attention to your own feelings because you could be dealing with that audience and somebody out there could just be pulling you in. And so you got to pay attention to that. And just like in individual sessions, if you're having an issue with countertransference, you got to work on it. So you need to go talk to one of your peers, a colleague, or something before you come back to the group the next day. Also, make sure that you are doing the potential for all weakness and strengths known to humanity that exists. And also remember, people become more capable of dealing with their own problems as they feel more adequate. So again, it's your job to build on their strengths. Questions, comments, or concerns? So this is part, the basic conditions of the therapeutic process. Oh, let's see. Jessica, you read number 1, Amber read number 2, Sheila read number 3, and Mastermind number 4.
There must be trust with the social worker, most important.
Recognize that the therapeutic process is a joint exploration.
There must be listening on both sides.
Must accept what is said in a non-judgmental manner.
And Krista, you thought you was out, honey. You gonna read that last thing. Uh-huh.
Beginning a problem solving process includes activities directed at engagement, assessment, and planning.
Anybody have any questions about the basic conditions of the therapeutic process? So the first thing, trust, rapport, building, helping, maintaining. The second thing, recognize the process. It's joint. This is not your baby. Don't go in there trying to take over because you're going to overexert yourself. The third point is you got to listen and they have to listen as well. And sometimes you have to listen more than they do. That is their community. They know what's going on, they know what they need. And then, so remember in listening, it's okay to be silent. You don't be silent for a long time, but it's okay. And then the fourth thing, accept what is said. Don't come in there with a judgmental manner. Even your clothes can be judgmental. I made a joke about it, but really, go. I did a presentation at a black college last week, and I went back and forth on what I was going to wear. And I was like, well, I'm going to be talking to a mixture of students and adults. And I don't want to go in here with my Louis Vuitton bag and this whole full men in black suit on. So I tailored it down. I had on a HBCU shirt because I also graduated from HBCU. I had on some black slacks. And y'all, really, because my feet bad, I had on some Nikes. So I could relate to, yeah, Amber, like, really? Excuse me. So I could relate to both parts of the crowd. And I was comfortable because I'm going through menopause too. So I be having hot flashes. So I couldn't be up there in a whole full suit and heels and stuff. So remember, cater to your crowd. That's why you got to do research on your crowd before you go to it. Now, when it comes to the social worker, explain your role. I talked about that, but I'm saying it again because community is really not a long topic. And then you have the working alliance, which is the treatment alliance. You may see the word working alliance or you may see treatment alliance. But this is when your client is allowed to unite and promote their common interest. Again, they're giving you information. So this is where they come in and they played a bigger role. Uh-oh, there's a question. Oh, I thought I saw a question. Is there someone named Gloria on here? I don't see her on my screen.
She was in the beginning, and I saw her picture.
Okay. Okay. So, working alliance, again, the client is an ally, and this is to unite oneself with another to promote common interests, as shown by definition above. Just showed you the definition. People who are allies are not only helpers, but also have a common interest with those they desire to help. So have you all heard the word, I'm an ally? And that's what it is. So that's your goal, to come out and help. The dynamics of power and transparency. So again, when you doing community work or macro or meso, the social workers must acknowledge the power and privileges. This is a part of our code of ethics, believe it or not. Your client or our clients see us as the one with power. So you have to know how to talk to them to get real feedback, because they're going to look up to you for everything. They're like, you're the one with all the power. Even when you're working with groups, you're like, so give me your feedback, give me your buy-in. They can be like, you're the one with all the answers. So keep that in mind. You have to educate them about your role and let them know this is your community. This is the time where you have to give me the information so I can give you what you need. So be transparent and be honest. A crowd as well as in individual sessions, but most definitely a crowd would challenge you. They would go do research on you so quick. So if they ask you questions, maintain boundaries, but be honest. If they research you and they saw that you are I'll just use myself for example. Even in my individual sessions, I have some Caucasian clients, and sometimes they say, we did a research on you and we saw that you a victim of domestic violence. And I said, no, 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 I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. And so be honest about it. Whatever they ask you, sometimes you have to say, well, I'm not going to give you too much information, but I answer this much. Because again, the community is going to do research on you. Questions, comments, or concerns? So the social worker's roles in the problem solving process. We went over these words again, but I want to make sure you know them. So, Gloria, are you on here? Okay. I think she's not. So here we are. Crystal, you're going to do advocate, and you just read the definition. You don't have to do the example. Mastermind, you get the next one. Jessica, the next one. After that, Sheila, and then Amber.
Okay. Campaign the rights of others, empower client system, speak on behalf of the client when others will not listen or client can't, particularly advocate on those empowered by society.
So you are an advocate. Social workers, our major role is to be an advocate. And so again, when your client cannot speak for themselves because they're in a crisis or because they are viewed as part of the marginalized population or the disadvantaged, then you're going to speak on their behalf. You're going to make sure they're in that space with you or on a three-way call or the virtual setting. Sometimes you may have to talk to somebody outside first and then bring it back with them and the client on the call together. But that's when you're going out and trying to help them. So an example of advocacy is a nonprofit organization that helps women of domestic violence or intimate partner violence who feel too afraid to speak. Because remember, people put a stigma on individuals who are part of DV or IPV. So they're like, no, I can't go out there and talk because they're going to be asking me, how are you a social worker and you a victim of DV? So the social worker is going to go speak on that person's behalf. Questions, comments, or concerns about advocate? Okay.
Bro-
Who? Broker. Okay.
Broker. Identify, locate, link systems to needed resources in timely fashion. Choose most appropriate service option and assist negotiating terms of service delivery. Focus on quality, quantity, and access of services.
Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're linking. You are a broker. You are going to make sure that your client is linked to the resources they need. If they're telling you that they are about to be evicted in 15 days, they don't know what to do. They're in a crisis at that moment, so they cannot think. So you are going to act as the broker. You're going to call that agency in your area, and you're going to negotiate for your client. It sounds like advocate, but you're not advocating. You're doing a little bit of advocating, but you're saying, hey, please, they're going to be evicted in 15 days. They have two babies, a disabled mom in the house. Can you do this one time? And it's about quality, quantity, and the access of services. So in this case, the social work is involved in the process. So you're going to make that referral. And in order to make sure that referral sticks, you are also, as the broker, you need to follow up on it. Because if they're going to be evicted in 15 days, 9 times out of 10, the client is not going to call. They're trying to they're out trying to figure out what they're going to do. So you're just going to put a memo on your calendar and say on day 10, you're going to call the agency, or even the next day, you want to make sure they got the referral. And then after that, you're going to call the agency 10 days later and say, hey, are you going to be able to help that family that I sent the referral over to you 10 days ago? Questions, comments, or concerns about broker? Because it shows up on the exam. Next person.
Is it me?
I think
Um,
I'm number 4.
I don't remember. Or whoever wants to take it.
Okay. Change agent, part of group, organization, seeking to improve, restructure some aspect of service provision, help shift focus of institutional resources to meet identified goals of client system.
Hmm. So, if you all never paid attention to the name of Dr. Pram program, it's called Academic Coaching for World. Anybody know what the end of it is? Changers. Yeah. And so this is the concept. She's saying you are changers. So you are a change agent. And so you're a part of a group organization, but you're seeking to improve or restructure services. We are part of policies. We help shift why police officers can't just go out here choking, whether it's black men, Hispanic men, or whoever. And so that's what that is. As a change agent, the social worker is called upon to help people cope with problems of change and to be a catalyst. That's a word you need to become familiar with. And bringing out changes in existing situations, policies, and resources. So a lot of social workers are really working hard now because I don't know if you all remember, like the end of last year, the president was like, "We're cutting food stamps." Well, he actually stopped food stamps. So there were change agents, and some of them were social workers. That's like, man, we can't do this. Everybody, I get your point, but everybody on food stamps aren't able to work. Some people are truly not able to meet that marker. So that's what a change agent is. Questions, comments, or concerns? Did anybody not understand? Okay. Who's next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Um, Counselor, focus on improving social functioning, help articulate the needs, clarifying problems, explore resolution strategies, apply intervention strategies, empower clients by affirming their strength capacity to deal with problems more effectively.
Did that make sense?
That was a whole lot.
So,
I
in
mean,
essence, you want to try it again?
yeah, I mean, I guess the synthesis of this is that you're acting on improving the social functioning of the group. You're helping articulate programs, articulate needs, and clarifying, exploring resources and strategies, and applying interventions. So this is where you get to wear your clinical hat to be able to provide a service to the community and give vernacular to where maybe potentially the community may not be able to have the ability to express their needs.
There you go. And that's where you're going to use that social worker helping process. And so you help the client cope with or resolve issues. So when a client is like, I'm fed up with how my life is, I don't like how this feels anymore. There's this dystonic feeling. They're tired of being on drugs because it's ruining their relationship with their wife and their kids. They're tired of grieving their mom who died 3 years ago. They're tired of their having problems in the family. They're tired of taking this exam a million times. Then you go see a counselor so that they can help with that problem. You bring the problem to the social worker, y'all brainstorm together, you clarify, and then you come up with an intervention. Questions, comments, or concerns? Who has not done one?
Me.
Okay, Amber.
Mediator, intervene in disputes to find compromises, reconcile differences, reach mutually satisfying agreements, take a neutral stance among involved parties.
Yep. You hear the word mediator. Well, I heard it 18 years of my life because my son, father, and I couldn't get along. So we had to have a mediator. So a mediator is that person that comes in the middle. They don't side with A, they don't side with B. They just help you come up with the conclusion. Okay, look, He gonna get them the first and third weekend. You gonna get them the second and fourth weekend. So that's what that is all about, to facilitate communication between both parties when there's a conflict. So when your client has a conflict with somebody out there in the community, they're gonna come to you and say, I have a problem and I need you to help me. So this is kind of like sort of kind of what I do. I do a lot of family medical leave. My clients come, they like, I'm having a problem at work. I don't side with the boss. I don't side with the client. I just go ahead and put my signature after doing a full assessment, of course, and making sure the client gets what they need and they need some time off. So just helping people seek a resolution. And it's cost effective. So even when a person on leave, the job don't miss anything because they're not paying them when they on leave. And the person get to keep their job. Questions, comments, or concerns about the mediator? So the primary role of a social worker is to act as a resource. Even if you're a counselor, a therapist, even if you're a case manager, you act as a resource. Social workers can be supportive, but are not the client support system. You're not, people shouldn't be calling you out. Your clients should not be calling you after hours. You have set hours. And there are things that you delegate for them to do and you don't do it. If they have a problem, you go back over it, help them acknowledge where they're bumping in the wall at so that they can do it on their own. But do not overpraise or fail to confront clients. You don't have to be like, oh, you did such an amazing job. Sheila, you did good. You need to keep doing what you were doing. But also know when to confront your client. Like I was saying, the guy with his arms folded in the office, I mean in the audience, don't go, sir, why are you sitting out there with your arms folded? Just say, hey, do you have anything you want to add to make this better? So questions, comments, or concerns about that piece. Let's see. Because we're going to do some more questions. Again, a lot of this is there's some more definitions here. A lot of it is redundant, but I do want you all to know about this guy, Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky is an individual that says that we can he tells us we first go to the problem for our client. If like you have a lot of what they call projects. And so you have a lot of contractors coming into cities and they're like, we're going to knock these projects down and turn them into like these mansions for people that can afford them to stay. And then everybody in the community is like, but if you knock down the projects, where are the people going to go? And they're like, we don't care. We're just contractors and we just want our money. And we know this is a good spot. So Saul Alinsky says, as a social worker, if the community brings it to the social worker as a problem, the social worker gonna sit with the community. You are gonna brainstorm. You're gonna come up with a plan, and you're first gonna be peaceful. You're gonna say, "Hey, Mr. Contractors, we need y'all to stay in Canada. Don't come over here knocking down these projects because people won't have anywhere to stay." And then he says, if at that point the contract workers don't listen, then you go put it all over the news and you start protesting. So he says, do not be afraid of fighting, but don't start fighting first. Does it make sense? He also says the fight starts when people who have power will not give up their power. So if them Canadians come to your state knocking down the projects, then you tried to be nice and had a casual conversation, they still don't listen, they bring the bulldozers out, you go on the news and you blast them at that point. Now you don't play fair. So he focused on the existence of perceived consensus in a goal, and the tactics is problem solving, joint action, education, and then malpersuasion. Okay. I'm trying to see what else I need to go over before we go into questions. Guess I can go over this last piece. So let's talk about the models of practice. And this is something you can note In American, Black is accounted for 13.9%. The number may have gone down just a little bit. And remember, biracial is Black. Did you all know that? Okay. So the numbers tether up and down, but for the most part, anywhere between 13.9 to 15%. The majority have the power and therefore rule. And the majority is individuals with the money. Anybody that's not part of the under privileged, the marginalized population is considered as the majority. And then you also need to know that the goal is to get the consensus with what all they can live with. So when you're out there working with the groups, the communities, you want to make sure you get a consensus what the majority of the group is saying, so that you can make sure everybody says we can live with 50% of our girls not being raped based off of the conversation I started earlier, or we can live with 40% of our girls not being raped. So that's what you all are going to work on, trying to get that number there. So something else you need to remember is locality development. And this is when the group has reached the consensus and there's a problem that they have to work together to solve. So they want to get to that 50%, only 50% of the girls being attacked and raped in the community. Then they got to work together. Well, people are going to have to stand at the bus stop on the third shift. The guy's going to have to go get a gun permit, whatever it takes. And so remember, neighborhood is homogeneous. I can't say it, but homo is look-alike. So everybody in the neighborhood, basically, they are alike. Have you ever drove past a Black neighborhood? You said, how did that one white person get in the neighborhood? Well, that one white person feel like they look like the Black individuals. So everybody they're working to improve whatever the problem is, and they're all doing it on a local level. So that's what locality development is. It also talks about the association with the democratic procedure. So a lot of times when a community social worker goes out, 9 times out of 10, they're doing things on a democratic level versus a republic level. And so this is universal participation and the majority rule, again, for the consensus to determine what the decision is going to be. And so the consensus is coming from that group that you're helping. Now, the opposing party, like I said earlier, if a Canadian want to come and knock down the projects, they're going to come and put fear in that community. And so it's your job as a social worker to help that community you're working with understand that they have power as well. So that's why you're going to start doing this social planning, getting things done behind the scenes. So like Saul Alinsky said, if the community don't want to help put things into place to get these numbers down for these girls getting raped, then you take it to the news and blast whoever you need to blast. And so also you just need to remember that when it comes to working, there is going to be the community integration. So you have the process of orientation. The purpose is to help the diverse population eliminate whatever the problem is. You're going to get the community come together and continue working to resolve whatever their problem is. And when you step out, they're going to know how you as a social worker step out. They're going to know how to continue this process. Does that make sense? I have said the same thing 6 different ways. I don't know if y'all got it, because that's how easy community. I could have really just taught community in 10 minutes, but I needed to say it so you all can hear it multiple ways. So we're about to go into some more questions, comments, concerns before we start. So social planning, like I said, you got to plan before you act. And so let's go into the questions. Crystal, Y'all remember your name: Crystal first, Mastermind second, Jessica third, Sheila fourth, Amber fifth. All right.
A social worker is a member of a team of professional planners hired by an inner city reventilation agency.
Violation.
What is it?
Violation.
Revaluation agency. Their their assignment is to improve living conditions in a de- de-
Deteriorating.
deteriorated neighborhood that was once a thriving community. The area is now characterized by high crime rates, drug traffic, and drive-by shootings. Those living in the neighborhood are intimidated and fearful. In adhering to the concept of social justice, the social worker should arrange a meeting with the residents. So yeah, this social worker, she's a part of this team of professional planners. She's hired by the inner city for violation, well, yeah, agency. um, their assignment is to improve the living conditions in a um, deplorable neighborhood that was once a thriving community. Um, but the area now is characteristic
Characterized.
by crime rates, drug traffic, and drive-by shootings. So now these neighbors, they're intimidated and fearful. To adhering to the concept of social justice, a social worker should arrange a meeting with the residents. A, tell them what other communities have done to bring about change, suggest their involvement and plans made by the city planners, educate the group about using the media to call attention to their problems. D, encourage them to voice their concerns and identify priorities for change.
So take away two and keep two.
Mhm. I'll take out A. Mhm. I will also suggest their involvement plans made by city planners. I would take out B.
Okay.
Adhering to the concept of social justice, the social worker should arrange a meeting with their residents and person to voice their concerns, identify priorities for change. Educate the group using media. I would take out C,
Okay.
and then I will go with D.
D like dolphin. Why D?
Yeah.
Why D?
Um, I have to go back to the
Oh, okay.
there.
You got it right, but why D?
Mhm, mhm. Well, I don't tell them anything. I don't suggest,
Mm-hmm.
and then E is like an intervention. So if we're doing what's that, the helping process
Mm-hmm.
as it relates to community, um, I would encourage first,
Yep.
um, because this is a community of issue due to their presenting problems that they're having.
Mm-hmm. I like how you went back to the social worker helping process. And I'm glad you did that. You all, that really helps with the questions, minus research questions and ethic questions. If you really look at the social worker helping process, it walks you through the answers. All right. So D is the correct answer. For the sake of time, I'm not going to talk as much. Next.
All right. Um, a client comes in to see a social worker because she's having multiple issues on her job. During the initial session, she tells the social worker that she can't wait for advice on how to fix the problems. In this situation, the social worker should. So you have a client who's having multiple issues on the job, and she comes in and she's expecting for the social worker to fix the problem, and they want to know what the social worker should do. So A, ignore the client's comment. B, remember to speak to the client about her role later in the treatment process once rapport has been established. C, ask the client why she feels that the social worker uh, survived, that the social worker survived would be so vulnerable.
We're gonna just take that out. I don't know how that got there. I do apologize.
Okay.
So you just gonna have
Three. Okay.
three.
Okay. Clarify what will happen in treatment and the responsibilities of both the client and social worker with regard to change. All right, so we're not going to ignore the comment. So I'm going to get rid of A.
Mhm.
And then we don't want to wait and speak to the client once they build the rapport, we want to address it right away. So I'm going to go with C.
Okay. And it's gonna change. That was D, but it is right. C. Got it right. Let me do this. Okay. Next.
A social worker is providing disaster relief services to a family following extensive loss of lives and property due to flooding in their area. It is important that the social worker help the family to understand that a crisis will continue indefinitely without therapeutic intervention. B, persons involved in a crisis will try to achieve a degree of equilibrium. C, resolution of feelings related to this crisis will prevent a reoccurrence of disequilibrium. D, there will be unable to return to a pre-crisis level of functioning. Okay, a social worker is providing disaster relief to families following extensive loss of lives and property due to a flooding in their area. It is important for the social workers to help the families understand that. So I guess out of all the responses, one of which is the social worker should help the families come to, I guess, an understanding of any of these responses. Um, I think I want to eliminate D, that they will be unable to return to a pre-crisis level of functioning, because I think that's the goal of the social worker, is to achieve some type of equilibrium in the family free from this state to I guess baseline. Crisis will continue to indefinitely without therapeutic intervention. I'm not so sure about that, so I might keep that for the time being. Persons involved in a crisis will try to achieve a degree of equilibrium. I think that that's still good, and I would keep that. Um, resolutions of feeling related to the crisis will prevent reoccurrence of disequilibrium. Resolutions of feelings related to the crisis will prevent reoccurrence of disequilibrium. Mm. So I mean, I know that I'm eliminating D. I need to eliminate another one.
Don't second guess yourself, Jessica.
I'm going there. Crisis will continue indefinitely without therapeutic intervention.
I'm taking that one out.
Yeah.
Okay. So you took out A and D.
Mhm.
Go back to the question.
Social worker will provide disaster relief services to families following extensive loss of property due to flooding in the area. It is important for the social worker to help families understand that resolution of feelings related to crisis will prevent reoccurrence of disequilibrium. I mean, if you resolve the feelings, would that prevent the reoccurrence of disequilibrium?
Are you putting too much into it?
Maybe.
So,
This one's tough. It's phrased pretty difficult for me.
okay. So you left with B and C.
I mean, B, persons involved in a crisis will try to achieve a level of equilibrium.
So, Jessica, I know we've been on a call 10 million times. What do we talked about crisis? What is the goal of crisis?
To get back to equilibrium.
So why did it take you so long to do that?
I don't know, because I doubt myself, but I have my bell.
Okay. I was like, I know she gonna say it. Oh, you so remember, any crisis question, the goal is to always get them back. It's either gonna say equilibrium or to a stable state. If a person, I think we did this maybe the second Sunday of last month,
Yes,
but
because we're always trying to get back to the previous level of functioning.
and if they don't get back to the previous level of functioning within 6 to 8 weeks, it's no longer a crisis and you have to refer them out. Okay.
I mean, I had it in my heart. I just didn't say it with my whole chest. That's
I
all.
think that was the night you couldn't talk that we talked about that one. Who
Yeah.
is next?
Me,
Mm-hmm.
Sheila. An agency is concerned with the, what is it, recidivism of its
Mm-hmm.
clients and hires a consultant to provide recommendations about services modifications that may have to occur. The consultant has a doctorate and extensive experience in the field. After several weeks, the consultant generates a report advising of services changes that, in the social work professional opinion, would be detrimental to clients. The social worker should. So I'm gonna have to read that back over to
Okay.
myself. Okay. You got a let me see, implement them as the consultant is an expert in the field. Um Not implement them, citing the reason for the concerns. Okay. Speak to the agency director and let him or her decide whether or not to have to implement them. Have another consultant examine the report to see if he or she concurs with the recommendations. Okay. Hmm. Okay. I would definitely, well, since she feels they would be detrimental to the client, so I see A coming out. Why
Okay.
would you implement them?
All right. Are
Okay.
you in a class? Mm-hmm. Real life? Yeah.
Sheila, you still here?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I don't seem happy with A or B
Okay.
because I keep looking at detrimental to the client. So um let me see. Let me see. Okay. I would take out. I'm gonna say is B the answer. I'm gonna go with B.
Okay, you saying B. So you took
Yeah.
out A and B.
No, I took out A, but I went back.
Okay.
I would say not implement them because citing the reason for the concerns because she felt that they're detrimental.
So what was the two you eliminating?
Um, um,
I'm sorry, I got confused. You taking out A and what?
Let me see.
Don't go back. Just tell me the two you took out.
Okay, at first it was A and B, but I'm thinking I want to keep B and I want to take out A
Mm-hmm.
and
And what's the other one you took out?
um, let
You
me
said you
see.
keeping B, so you taking out C or D.
Oh, this is kind of hard for me.
Don't change it. Just tell me the other one between C and D, what you taking
Okay,
out.
the other one. Um, D.
Okay. So you took out A and D and you're going with B. So Sheila, what I want you to become in habit of doing when you're doing any practice test, always eliminate two. Always. Okay. Your answer is B. Read that reason why it's B.
If it's all she works ahead concerns about the consultant's recommendation and think they would be detrimental to the clients, he or she cannot ethically implement them, but must make clear why such a decision is being made. It would be advisable for the social worker to speak to his or her supervisor and even the agency director of the consultant, if permitted and appropriate, to discuss the concerns. However, the social worker should not implement them because of the consultant educational
Educational background and expertise.
background and expertise, or let the agency director decide. The social worker is also not responsible for hiring another consultant because the first one was contracted by the agency in instances like the one described. The recommendations of consultants may not ultimately be implemented by the organization, may be modified based on the concerns, and or may be studied further for appropriateness.
Yep. Okay. Good job.
Well, I did go back and choose B.
You got it. Yep. So that's what I'm saying. You have to read your questions, but Sheila, on the exam, you cannot pause like that. That is going to hurt you. You could go in the testing site and actually be prepared to pass the exam, but if you spend that much time on questions, you're going to run out of time. So keep that in mind. Let's see. I think, well, for the sake of time, there's other questions. So you all will get this. I know the last two people are like, ooh, I got saved by the bell. But before we end, questions, comments, or concerns? No questions, no comments, no concerns. Okay. So Amber, tell me what you learned tonight.
About the helping process.
What about it?
Assess planning, intervention, or intervene, evaluate and terminate.
Mhm.
And I learned that community is just like individual, because I hate community, but I think I'll have a better outlook at it now.
I think we all hate it and we don't pass it for whatever because I we put too much into it like it's hard and it's not. It's the exact same thing as individual. And remember, Amber, the social worker helping process can be used with your test questions. So when you're reading a vignette, you just look when you get ready to answer and say, "Does this apply? Did I assess? Did we plan? You know, blah blah blah." Okay, Crystal, what did you get out of tonight's session?
Basically the same thing that you just mentioned. You want to imply or incorporate the helping process
Mm-hmm.
um, stages as if it was a community,
Mm-hmm.
So equate the individual with the community and use that same process method
Okay. What stuck out the most tonight?
to remember to use that.
Other than that, give me something else.
um, just the different types of roles that
Okay.
we are involved in when it comes to communities,
What's an advocate?
like advocate and broker and counselor and that we're there to assist or to be a change agent or to be a counselor. They're the roles that we that are in.
Okay. So what's an advocate, Crystal?
Advocate is someone who's advocating for that person or that community that has that is having the issue.
Give me a social worker response for advocate.
Um, let's say individuals that have some disabilities and they are trying to live in an apartment um, uh, community, and where the community don't want this vulnerable population to come in. So this social worker advocate for this population to let them know that they can also live in this community as well.
Mhm. Thank you. So yeah, remember we have to start talking like social workers. When we talk like it, we think like it, we actually gonna start testing our test scores will start getting better too. Sheila, tell me, what did you get out of tonight's session?
Well, eliminating and, not spending as much time.
Why is it important to eliminate, Sheila?
Well, you want to eliminate to the ones that really that's not making sense.
Hmm. And when you narrow down to the two, do you think you can insert it into the vignette to actually be able to say this is the best answer or this is the answer that
Yeah.
okay.
I think I just want to get to the answer. That's my problem. And I just be trying to go fast and yes. But that's why I'm working with you guys.
So please eliminate two. If you have three choices, still eliminate two. And
Okay.
then take a few seconds, read that the one you're like, this is really it, and just see if it will fit back. Because a lot of times the last sentence of the vignette is saying what's best, is asking the question. All the other stuff is, some of it is distracting, some of it is real information. So you have to be able to distinguish what's what.
What's
Okay.
important?
There you go. Jessica.
I think fear gets in the way of me just feeling confident about my answers. I feel like I know the material, but I guess I doubt myself too much. And in doubting myself, that could make the difference between a pass or a fail.
Because I know you knew that crisis question. I know you know it. So what else did you get out of tonight's session
Me specifically,
from the community concept?
um, you know, I love community. It's actually one of the things that I did a lot of community organizing before.
Hmm.
And I think that it's just always important to know that the social worker's role is an auxiliary role. It's not to tell the community what to do. Listen to the community. They will tell you what they need. And it's your job to help kind of like organize it in a manner that makes it digestible to key stakeholders.
Hmm. Did I miss anyone? You know, on this social me. So mastermind. Okay.
What I learned tonight was that the social worker helping process can be applied to everything except for research and ethics.
Hmm. Yep, it's right there. What else did you get out of tonight's topic?
Um, hmm. I took notes. Um, learning the terms. And then this guy here, the one you just passed, I never knew any
Paul Alinsky. Mm-hmm.
before.
Yep.
So that's something new. I've never heard of him.
Mm-hmm. From Chicago. So he tell us, don't feel guilty about fighting, just don't start fighting first. There was a word I wanted to make sure you all understood. And I'm gonna say some of the words I can't say either, but we have to know these words. And it's recidivism. And so recidivism is when we are working with people that are relapsing in areas, and a lot of times it's the criminal area. So there are,
Recidivism.
huh?
I think it's recidivism. Like,
Recidivism. See there? Thank you. And so we have to know how to say the word. So what I am going to say, anytime you are reading a question and you have a problem with the word, just stop, Google, and ask it to play it back to you. Even I mess up. Most definitely when it comes to medicines, I'm like, yeah. But um at this point, we can't afford to do that. We have to know it because messing up one word when we're reading in a vignette, it can mess up the whole way our brain processes the remainder of the question. And then when we get to the answer choices, we end up selecting the wrong answer. Make sense? Okay. So before we end, thank you all for joining us. Remember, there's material out there. Dr. Pam, YouTube is back up if you had knowledge of it being some stuff happened, you can go back out there and review. But my thing is go over this information. And if you attended a class the previous week, the next 7 days, break that information down, go back through the questions, go through the content. Yeah, if you know me, you know me. I am going to tell you questions is not important. Reading is what's important. You got to read everything that we did not go over tonight, and you will have access to that information. And make sure when you're reading, you're processing, when you're processing, you're understanding. That is the key to passing this exam, understanding the content, not memorizing the questions, not just reading questions a million times, because questions is filled with so much. We can go over questions every week. But every time we go over a question, I have to stop and explain something. And then you see another question that resembles another question, and then it starts looking like the same question. So that's why it's important to understand the content. I always tell people I read from Don Apgar book. So if you're doing LC, use her LC book. If you're doing LM, use her LM. If you're doing BSW, use her BSW book. You should be able to go to your local library, excuse me, and check out the book. So this is the last call for questions, comments, or concerns. If there are none, make sure to check out items on Facebook. Remember, brain is brainscape. I can't remember everything, but Dr. Pam have some, I want to say it's Brainscape that you can subscribe to. Go to the YouTube. There's pod channels that you can listen to. So when we're not here working with you, there are other ways. I would also suggest that you just do a lot of audio questions. So go to some of Dr. Pam's material and just listen to her read the question. Like turn your screen off and just listen. That helps a lot as well. I'm losing my voice. I'm sorry. So I am going to sign off. I will see everyone maybe, maybe not in 2 weeks.
Good
All
night.
right. Good night. Bye bye.
All right, good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much, Sherry.
I'm getting like you now, Jessica. My voice just wants to start going away. Good night,
Not on the
everyone.
Lord's Day.
I, I think it's time to rest.
Okay. And I feel better, Sherry.
I'm so glad you do, Sheila. Trust me, we all go down the path. Like I said, it took me 13 times to get there. You just got to recondition your thought process and don't be hard. You can be your worst critic. And so remember, if you don't get a test question, just tell yourself, girl, this ain't the test. Because it's not, it's practice. And I think Mastermind said it best tonight. Take this with a grain of salt, go back over it, look at it, and please don't compare yourself to other people. I know sometimes that's the downfall to group statistics shows that when you're in a group, other people's like, well, all five, it's six of us and five was thinking the same. And how did I think different? That's the opportunity for you to ask yourself, what did they see that I didn't see? Not they got the answer right. Because that's why I pointed out to you. If you was really listening to them, they were taking guesses on it.
But to me, I do pretty good with figuring out the two that doesn't make sense. But I kind of get the two that's left. If it's A, B, C, D, sometimes I
Mhm.
mess up on a one, and that's just not good
Mhm.
if I can get the right one.
So if
So
you
it's
give
still a
them,
challenge kind
yeah.
of ruling out,
Mhm.
because a lot of times they all kind of fit the
And that's why I
sentence.
said, go back into the vignette when you're down to two, even if it's three choices and you just have one left. Go back into the vignette, the end of it. Read the question again. If it says, what should the social worker do first? What's the best thing the social worker should do? Look at the two answers you have left and go through them because there are key words in the answer choices that fits right into that question at the end of the vignette. Pay attention to what I said. It's gonna make
No,
it's
I
gonna.
am. Community could be kind of tricky, but I did.
Ah!
No, but I did learn tonight. I did. Yes. It's
Community is
it,
just the first cousin to individual.
you know what? You helped me to understand it better
Mhm,
tonight with
mhm,
the far as the community part.
mhm. You got it. Just keep practicing. Keep outside of this. Listen to the YouTube channels, Dr. Pam, and keep coming. I know it gets frustrating with the amount of money we spend, but you pay for what you get. I
I don't care. I don't care about that.
yeah.
I just want to pass.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm telling you, 13 was a charm for me. And I always tell people, I got a phone call 2 days ago, a social worker that passed the exam the third time. We graduated the master's program together. I need to know what's going on with this and what's going on with that. And so sometimes coming out what it appears to be last is really coming out on top.
Yeah, like you said, we can't worry about other people.
You know,
We just got to do it for
just
ourselves.
do it.
And got to have confidence. Every
There
time I
you
think I
go.
have the confidence, I weigh myself down.
Because you did well on that second question. It did take you too long. I need you to speed it up a little bit because, like I said, for
Yeah,
this.
because you know what? I read it because I was going so fast and I'd be nervous. And when I went
Mm-hmm,
back, I said, be the answer,
mm-hmm,
so I figured
mm-hmm.
it out. So I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
And that second reading, I often help it resonate. You be like, oh, okay, that's what I missed the first time. Like you said, the first time you read it fast. The second time gives you an opportunity. So for you, Sheila, I suggest read it twice. Always eliminate two. Okay. All right, ladies, y'all have a good night.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.